Hey, my name's Dan. This is my 2004 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon that I took apart all the way down to the frame, cleaned it up, did a bit of an engine rebuild, and then put it back together in a little bit different of a fashion. As you see, I got the 33-inch Jeep Gladiator wheels on there that I took off my truck. First, it was just to get through inspection here in Maryland, but they actually look pretty good, so I'm probably going to leave them for a while. That also will put off me re-gearing from 410s to maybe 456 or 488s for 35s and beadlocks that I'll do eventually. But for now, those are probably going to stay. So do a little bit of walk around. I just bought those extended fender flares off eBay for 60 bucks. So they're going to do the job here to get me through inspection. I took the stock Rubicon rock sliders or rock rails and I welded on a piece of tubing because I had a spare roll bar that I chopped up to make these steps. As you can see with the roll bar, I did a CJ style roll bar on this TJ, so it came out pretty good. I like the look of it. I also painted the bars going from the windshield to the B-pillar. And I flipped around the speakers so I can still use them. And it's right over your head, so you don't have to turn it up very loud. You can hear it just fine. It's not stereo, but it gives you some tunes. Let's see. I do have the Quadratec trail mirrors on there right now. I'm probably always going to leave it. This will just be a Jeep with no doors and just basically a top just for the sun, as I won't be putting in the rear window or side windows. Moving on around. On the back here, I did the CJ7 style tailgate conversion. Of course, I put the stickers on there so everybody can see the Jeep, and that is the Jeep tailgate with the Jeep stamped in it. I have the Swag off-road low profile LED tail lights. Those came out really nice. I have a barn 4-wheel drive rear bumper. I got my third brake light there. I need that to get through inspection. I do have the spare tire just mounted in the back there. Of course, I got my fire extinguisher, so it's not just a novelty. I did do a whole bunch of rewiring and stuff, so on my first ride around the block in the neighborhood, I wanted to make sure I had a fire extinguisher because I am a YouTube mechanic. So again, there's my side rails. Like I said, more or less just something to look at, so it looked a little bit different. I didn't want to spend 500 bucks on getting a set that was already done. I had this stuff laying around. I had some Jeep floor mats that came with this Jeep. So yeah, I still got the interior there, it's looking fine. I do have the PRP seats. I got these in custom colors. Light gray center section, a darker gray outer section with the dark gray surrounds, the red piping, the red stitching. So these were $300 and something a piece, I believe. But they are really comfortable. The pitch on the seat back is just right, so you're not sitting straight up and down. It's a very comfortable position. In the back here, I made a trunk out of diamond plate. I went and bought a sheet of 4x4 diamond plate. Maybe, trying to think, I think it was maybe a 1/16 or something inch thick. Not very thick anyway. As you can see, it goes, it wraps all the way around. It's not completely watertight. I did build a frame for it, so I'll show you guys that now. It's a CJ style tailgate. I got the latches I have to flip. So there we are, my latches. Tailgate right there. Of course, I got some off-roading goodies in here at the moment. But I'll show you this. So in there, you can see I have my frame all across in there. In case anybody's wondering what that is up here. those are my seat covers in case it rains. But that is my evap system for the TJ. So what I did, and I don't know if you probably won't be able to tell unless I tell you, is this tub that came with the Jeep, the front half was in good shape. However, the rear half, was a bit crispy with rust, and underneath around the roll bar area, as usual, there was just holes on both sides of the floor. So I was looking for another tub. I found one that had a rusty front half but a perfect back half for $200. So I bought it and I welded them together right across here, right in line with this tunnel, all the way across the Jeep to the other side. So like I said, it's an 04 front half and a 97 to 02 rear half. So it didn't have the place for the evap canister. So I just stuck it inside as I need it for inspection. Of course, I put all the stock plastics back in I had from the 04. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh yeah, that's the look with my spare tire. So right now I was just in there to see how it was going to work, so I can take a spare tire with me off-roading. And you can see my trunk. So I'll lift this up for you. All right, so I lift that up for you. Again, you can see the trunk a little bit better. And it was like a 4x4 piece of aluminum diamond plate, like 60 bucks. And then I bought this edge piece for maybe $10 from the store as well. I need the edge piece just because cutting with the Sawzall and an angle grinder, it didn't look too good, and I didn't have anyone to bend it for me. Plus, it would have been hard to get in. But anyway, it looks good. I'm glad. I'm happy how it came out. The 1x1 inch steel tubing, those are like $7 a piece. So I believe I got out of the steel yard for $100, $110, something like that, for this whole trunk area. Oh. Didn't mention this. This is also part of the extra roll bar that I had from the spare tub. So again, I just took that. It's going to be a shoulder harness for these seats. It is a little bit low, but any higher and it wouldn't have gone with what I was going for. I don't know that I'll do shoulder harnesses if I'm doing anything to possibly roll the Jeep. I might want to think twice just because this took a lot of work to get it this way. I wouldn't want to damage it. Here in the center here, so I didn't have the center console. Well, the center console didn't fit between the two PRP seats that I have them set up. So, no worries. I did buy a rubber boot for like 15 bucks and cut it a little bit, and that fits around there nicely. I also Raptor lined the floor with a red tint Raptor liner. However, it looks more like a sunburst orange. But it's okay. I like how it came out. It looks really good. It was pretty simple to do as well. Not sure if I mentioned the seat brackets for these PRP seats. You can buy them through PRP for, I believe, $50 per seat. Or, like I did at the steel yard, I just grabbed some angle iron steel and cut those up. I think it was $10 or $15 so I can make two of them, cut them, drill them, paint them, and nobody knows the difference. Also, from the stock seats, I did cut off the brackets for the seat belts, so I welded those to my frames, so everything is good to go there. Of course, it's the stock seat belts. No worries there. For the shifter, as you can tell, I don't have the center console, so I just used some stainless steel bolts here, and I kept the boot. So far, I like how it looks. If I find something that's a little cleaner, then I'll swap it out, but if I don't, no worries. It looks good to me. Same with the 4-low shifter. And then here I have the Terraflex thumb throttle, so it's pretty much like a cruise control for when you're off-road. It also works fine on the road. I set it and just drive down the road. Just got to be careful you don't forget about it. I have some Jeep floor mats that came with the Jeep, so they look pretty good in there. I'm just going to keep those. We can move back around to the front. In the front, I kept with the stock front bumper. I was looking at a rock hard 4x4 rectangular tubing steel bumper on the front, but they are, said it's going to be at least 2 months before they could ship something out. And I sort of like to look at the stock bumper anyway, so maybe one day I'll swap it out, but until then, it's good to go. I did buy a Quadratec winch plate right here, as well as a Quadratec winch. The stock fog lights, they are not hooked up. I probably won't ever hook them up. They're just there just because I liked how it looked. I don't really plan on driving this thing at nighttime too much anyway, in the dark. At least the places I go, you have to be off the trail by dark. So again, there's a side view of the Jeep. Now let's take a look underneath. So in the front here, I did put a Skyjacker Rock Ready steering plate or steering box skid plate on there. I did have to modify it a little bit because, as you can tell, I have hydraulic assist steering from West Texas Off-Road. It is the Redneck Ram kit. So I got that on there. I mounted to the driver's side, which isn't a usual option, but it is possible, and this is how I did it. So I've put the tire against the curb and pushed, and it is holding just fine. Of course, don't worry about that weld there. It got a little gobbled up. Not much I could do about it now. But that's all set up there. I do have a truss on this stock front Dana 44 axle from TNT Customs. That is a full width front truss. I have an ARB diff cover. They're expensive, but I went with them because I can check the fluid levels, and you buy it once and you're good to go forever pretty much. So did it one time and I'm set. This is a U-turn only steering setup from U-turn steering setup from Off-Road Only. So I mean, so far it looks really good. We'll see how it does. It came with some brackets to move the tie rod on that end and move the tie rod and the drag link on that end. So they are set up like that. As you can tell back there, I do have wheel adapters. So a 1.5 inch wheel adapter from 4.5 to 5-on-5. I do have some axle seal tube seals back there as well. We'll see how those hold up. I haven't used them before. And if you can't tell, I do have the anodized gold track bar in the front, so that means I have a Metal Cloak system under here. So there you go. You can also see I do have a steering box stabilizer there running across. I figured, you know, for $60 or $70, whatever it was, I might as well just do it and weld it in while I'm doing all this. So moving around again, we'll go and look underneath here. So again, this is the 4.5 inch Metal Cloak Longarm kit, or Longarm radius arm. It has this lock and load system. When you go off-road, you unlock that spring, and that is supposed to keep your bushings from failing prematurely, as it allows additional movement in the setup. It also comes with this pretty stout center section, which was originally made by Rubicon Express, so they either bought it from them or you know, pay for the rights to use it. But it is a very nice setup. Skid plane and everything is supposedly the same amount of drop as the stock, maybe slightly less, I'm not sure, but it looks about the same. Moving back. Oh, get that drive shaft first. We have a Adams off-road drive shaft in the front, and then an Adams off-road drive shaft in the rear. And those work really well, no vibrations or anything. Also in the rear, I have a truss on this back of this too from TNT Customs, though I had to modify it a bit to work with the Metal Cloak Longarm kit, as it came with different upper arm mounts. So I chopped the truss, welded it to the mounts that the kit came with, and then mounted it And that's going to be a really strong setup. Assuming I'm a good welder. We'll find out, I guess. So you can see there's the upper and lower arms back there. Everything looks really good. And I'll move around to the back so you can check out what's going on back there. I did replace the new gas tank skid, just a stock Mopar one, you know, $150. I didn't want to spend $300 or $400 on a aftermarket one. If I do smash it up, then I guess I will later on. These were just the Rock Sport shocks. I said I need to spend too much on shocks. We'll see how this goes first. As you can tell, another ARB diff cover and the TNT Customs, and sort of how I have it all put together. I did replace the brakes, the calipers, and the rotors and pads with power stop, just the standard red setup. This came out well. As far as how the lines run for the brakes, I had to sort of make it work. Also, for the emergency brakes, I end up using Wrangler Unlimited emergency brake cables, and those are working just fine for me. Everything engages, it works fine. Just give you another shot of this third brake light. So again, I just riveted these on there in case I want to take it off. I'm probably, once I'm through inspection, going to get a rigid light, white reverse light with the yellow backlight or amber light on the reverse, like I have on my Gladiator. Came out really nice. With the possibility of doing the same in the front. So I'm maybe swapping these one day with some amber lights for the front. Moving up under the engine, or under the hood, just look at the engine. One last thing, I did replace the lights with these KC halogen lights. It did come with some $90 Amazon LEDs, but those looked pretty horrible with the rings. It's not my style. So the engine, like I said, I did take it apart. I rebuilt as much of it as I could without taking out the cam. So I left the engine sitting in the frame with nothing else here, and I took everything apart except the cam. I did not pull the cam out. I honed the block, all that stuff, cleaned it up really nicely. I know with cams under there when you're honing the block, but I had the bottom of that all wrapped up, so nothing would get in there. I did have to replace the slave clutch and master cylinder, as of course once you pop those out, they don't go back together ever. You just buy a new one. Found one on Amazon for maybe 120 bucks. Here are the air pumps for the Rubicon lockers. So I found those off of eBay. They're like $200 a piece. I was thinking to do some kind of ARB setup and then valve it down to 5 psi, but I just ended up going this route instead. Maybe later I'll figure something else out. But they work, so it's good there. Not really much different under the hood. Like I said, I did pull this whole thing completely apart. I routed some the breather tubes into the air box there. Hopefully that'll work out fine. That is pretty much everything I did to this. So it was about 14 months from start to finish. Basically from the day I pulled the Jeep in the garage and started taking it apart till the day I drove it out of the garage for its first test drive. So I wasn't in a rush as I was working and traveling all throughout this COVID stuff, so work didn't slow down for me. I was all over the States, all over the, a couple different countries. That's why it took me a while longer, but it was no big deal. I'm glad I'm done. The wife's glad I'm done. I was out here all the time doing stuff. We're watching a YouTube to figure out how to do the stuff I had to do. So I did buy a welder, as well as some air compressors. Note itself, using air compressors, plug them directly into the wall outlet. Do not plug them into an extension cord or you'll have a dead compressor like that one. That was no good. I do have a welder. It's just the Harbor Freight titanium 170 welder, I believe. 110, 220. I was just using it on 220 the whole time. Worked great. It still works great. Never welded before, but now I'm okay at it. You saw that cutaway there. That was so the soft top will go up. And I'm only keeping the soft top, so if I'm driving around in the daytime, when the sun's out and I'm baking, I can just keep the top up for some shade. And then at nighttime, in the evening time I should say, I can ride around with the top down, or if I'm caught in the rain or something. But like I said, for the most part, the easiest way to flip a top up and down is just to keep that stock top versus have a bikini top. In my other Jeeps, I've had those bikini tops. Taking them up and down is a real pain, so I end up always going back to the stock soft top and just flipping it back and forth as needed. So again, that's the Jeep. Oh, I did paint the entire Jeep. So I got a $140 paint kit off of eBay. It's a 20-foot paint job. Well, I would say it's a 5-foot paint job. It looks pretty good from 5 feet away. Of course, as you get a little bit closer, it looks less good, but I mean, maybe to a professional, but to me it looks great no matter where I am looking at it. It scratches easy though, that's the problem. The hardener in there must have not made it terribly hard. So, you know, maybe in 5 years or so I'll have to do another $120 paint job off of Amazon. But that is the Jeep. My name's Dan. Again, this is my this is also my Gladiator I got there. I'll just show that real quick. The Gladiator. I really like the Gladiator as well. Spent a lot of time over in the desert. Came back and bought that. I had waited originally for the TJ Brute I was going to do, and then the JK Brute I was looking at buying, but I just never left being in the desert. So when I got back now, I went and bought it. Oh, here were those rigid whites I was mentioning earlier. White in the center with a yellow halo ring around the sides. So those look really nice. Yeah. So that's all the stuff. Well, let me know if you got any questions.